Hey guys, welcome back to this week's episode of Off the Jack Garage. We're going to be picking up where we left off last week for part 3 of our EFI install on our Aces Killshot. So last week, just to recap, we got the throttle body installed. We went ahead and got the blackjack distributor installed and went ahead and set that timing at 15 degrees top dead center. And we also got our in-tank tight fit fuel pump installed in the new tank. So this week what we got to do is we just need to clean up some of the wiring, go ahead and get the fuel tank installed, our new fuel lines installed, and then once we get all that done, we should be about ready to try to fire this thing off. So let's go ahead and dig in. Hey guys, welcome back. It's been a few days. I did a bunch of off-camera work, but I think we've pretty much got this thing installed and ready to go. So just a real quick run through of the things I've accomplished over the last couple of days. We went ahead and finished up the wiring. Now I haven't completely gotten everything exactly where I wanted it. The main part of the harness is still sitting in the floor in here. And the reason for that is so I can kind of go through this initial show of how to set everything up. And then it's going to be a little different for everyone's ride, right? So I'm trying to put mine up under the dash. So I need to pull some of the interior and stuff like that out. So what I've done is I just temporarily run the harness and everything into the floor with the ECU sitting into the floor. I also temporarily ran a pump or a positive power cable all the way back to my positive on my pump, which is just in place temporarily until I get the interior removed and I can kind of get it where I want it. But we dropped the exhaust yesterday, got the bung welded in, got the O2 sensor installed, got the coil installed. I got all my fuel lines installed. I went with a PTFE braided hose from Frogola, but that's gonna be a little different for everyone. I know that you can put push locks on here, you could use steel lines. So I didn't really want to show that process because like I said, that's really gonna be dependent on what you're trying to do with your car and what your car is. All right, so I ran all that. I got the fuel pump installed. I did go ahead and off check it. I also took time to purge the lines yesterday. So I just made sure they were disconnected from the throttle body and I just purged them out. So any of that extra debris or anything like that that may be left over in the lines when I was cutting them and building those lines up, it just pushed all that stuff out. So it's not in my fuel system. It doesn't get into our throttle body. Other than that, the throttle body ECU system, just the basic Killshot system, is really simple. It's a couple of wires are really all you need. I haven't run all the accessory wires yet to run my gauges or anything like that, but really you just need the couple of different sensor connectors that come pre-wired on the assembly. You have a battery ground, you have a positive ground, you have an ignition positive, right? That's like your 12 volt ignition. When you turn your key on, it's got to have power. You got to verify that it also has power while cranking. And then you have your fuel pump, and that fuel pump's only good up to 15 amps. So if you're running over a 15 amp fuel pump, it does recommend that you run an independent relay, so you can just run this power source to your relay to power that extra relay. Other than that, that's pretty much all you have to have. So we got all that buttoned up. I'll show you kind of the way everything's looking. Then I'm going to get you inside the car with me, and we're going to go through hopefully the CAN wizard. I haven't even tried to fire this up yet, so you're literally doing it with me, so I can give you my impression of the system and how user friendly it is. The same time that you're seeing it, I'm seeing it, right? So try to fire that up. We'll go through that, see how everything is, and if everything's good, maybe we'll try to fire this thing up and see if I can at least get it to idle for a few minutes. I don't plan on running it for very long. Mostly just because everything like I said is kind of temporary in place right now, and I still need to pull a couple things apart and rerun where the wiring is. I mean, everything is permanent as far as the connections go. I just don't like the way that I routed it in the car, so I'll have to go through and do that. But yeah, let's dig in and see what we got. All right, so you can see I pretty much have everything rerun back in here. So I got my coolant temp set up. I got all my wires and everything run back up to the distributor. I got my coil and pressure regulator along with my Frigola lines run. So the way I ran mine is I have the pressure line coming up to the throttle body. I have a return line coming out to the regulator, and then from the regulator, I have a return running back to the tank. I still have to set the pressure, so we're going to do all that here in just a second when we're doing the initial setup. So pretty much standard. Other than that, you can see that I have the power wire coming out of the harness connected to the positive side. I also have the negative coming off the harness connected to my battery as well. My battery has some really, I mean, they're basically battery cables, but really good ground to the block. And then I also have one run down to the chassis itself down here. So the battery is really grounded both to the motor and to the block, or to the frame itself. And then I also have a couple of ground battery straps on the back of the block that ground to the firewall. So shouldn't be any issues there with anything like that. So okay, you can see that I got my cheat book here with me. So like I said, I downloaded the entire PDF manual off the website. So this has got the whole CAN wizard. So once we get this thing on, assuming that it actually fires up and I did this all correctly, right, we'll walk through the setup. I will say that from everything I've read about the system, it works better with stock settings from what I'm getting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pretty much say that the engine's pretty much all stock. It is a blueprint small block motor. It makes about 420, 30 horsepower, something like that. It has a little bit of a cam, but it's really nothing crazy. So I think we'll be pretty good with stock settings, and we'll go from there. Earlier when I was talking about my harness kind of just being set in here, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, right? But everything is just kind of sitting down in here. I have all the relays, right? My wiring and everything's run through the firewall. Like I said, that's just temporary, and I plan on getting that mounted up under the glove box area here. But I wanted to make sure that I had it out and accessible in case I'm having any issues. So let's go ahead and I guess turn this key and see if anything happens. Hopefully I'll get power to the ECU. I'll get power to our 7-inch display here, and then we'll walk through this together and we'll see if we can fire this thing up. Oh, that's a good sign. All right. I don't know if you heard that, but the pump purged, and then the screen kicked on. I kind of want to jump out real quick and see where our pressure is sitting on the regulator because I haven't set that yet. So just stand by for a second. So I don't know if you recall, we're also going to have to go through setting up and verifying our timing as well, since I am using the ASIS system to run the jackpot distributor, or excuse me, I believe it's called the blackjack distributor. So we had to set that thing up at 15 degrees top dead center when we put it in the car. I just need to make sure that first we lock out the timing in here so that it's not trying to adjust as we're verifying timing out there. So we'll lock that out. We'll go out with the car running. Hopefully when it runs, I'll get a timing light on it. I will verify that it's at 15 degrees at idle. And then once we got it at 15 degrees, we'll be able to go in here, lock the distributor down, go back in here and unlock it so that this can start running the timing curve and everything. So let's see what we got here. So it looks like the main interface pops up right off the bat. You get a couple of options on how you want to go through this. I'm going to go ahead and just go with this screen for now. Are you sure you want to select this mode and set it as the default mode for the next startup? Yes, we'll do that for now. Okay, we're using the Killshot. First time connection, enter the wizard to complete function configuration. Okay. We're using the Killshot, so it's not the Killshot Classic. Enter. You want Imperial or Metrics? I'm going to go with Imperial. Wizard select display unit 2, AF or Lambada. I'm going to go with AF. Cam type, we're going to pick stock. Only, oh, for the wideband, we only have the one, so we're just going to click one. For RPM, it's going to be magnetic. Number of injectors, the Killshot has 4 of them, so it's going to be 4. Injector flow rate is 100 pounds, so we'll go ahead and leave that where it's at. Yep, that's good. Displacement, we got a 350 in here, so we're going to go with 350. Hot idle speed. 850 is a little high from what I want, but we'll go ahead and call that good for now. I can go back in there and change it. So we'll say that's good. Yes, save. Now please key off for 5 seconds to make configuration effective. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so it says before we try to start it up, we want to do a sensor verification. So before starting the vehicle, verify that all sensors are reading properly. Turn the key off and cycle it back on. At this time, you should hear the fuel pump come on and run for about 5 seconds, which we heard. Check for fuel leaks. Engine RPM will show 0, which it does. Your manifold air pressure sensor should read 95 to 102 kPa, which I believe mine is running map PSI, so 14 point. I don't know if I can look at that. It should read 90 to 100 at wide open. Okay. The TPS throttle position should read 0. All right, that's at 0 with it closed. I'm going to go ahead and just pull the throttle body real quick and see what it reads. All right, so all I did there was I just pulled the butterflies real quick. I just back on the TBI there. I just wanted to check the TPS sensor. So it should read 0. It says obviously when it's closed, and then it should be somewhere between 90 and 100. I had 94 at wide open throttle, so that looks good. CTS coolant temperature sensor. I'm guessing it's engine coolant temperature, which is different. It says it used to be CTS, now it's ECT. So engine coolant temperature. So mine's reading 66, which is about right. That's about what the outside temperature is. Map is the only one that's getting me a little bit, and it's at 14.4. I don't know what that is in KPA. Okay, I'm going to have to look into this timing a little bit before I go and fire everything up. So let's look into that. I need to do some research really quick because this is not really clear what it's asking me or what it's telling me to do. It says timing control. Have a timing light handy for the first step. Will be positioning the distributor. Switch the ignition key on to power the Killshot system up and go to the tuning, spark, basic, static timing. This screen allows you to set the distributor exactly where the Killshot ECU needs it to be positioned to operate the timing. But if I fire it up right now, wouldn't since the timing control is unlocked, wouldn't it just be trying to adjust my timing as I'm setting static? So what I want to do is I want to lock the timing at 15, I believe. Oops, back, cancel that. Tuning, spark, advanced. Sounds like you tried to start. Alright, let me take a look real quick, see what we got going on. Alright, so I had to do some troubleshooting. Couldn't figure out why it wouldn't fire up. You know, silly thing is, I guess if you run the return to the wrong side of the fuel regulator, you're just going to get pressure built up and you're not going to actually be running anything back to the tank. So, lesson B, make sure that you follow the actual instructions here, right? It is clear as day. I don't know what, maybe it was late that night when I ran that, but for whatever reason, I ran the return to the inlet side and the inlet side back to the tank. So obviously it wasn't working for me. I did get it corrected. I already cycled the key on once just to make sure that I was getting return all the way back. and the pressure was good. So go ahead and kick it on. Pump just kicked on. It's running. Just kicked off. All right, so what we want to do now is I want to set my initial timing. So what I've got to do is we're going to fire it up. And then once it's fired up, I'll be able to go into that advanced wizard or that advanced tuning, and I'll be able to lock the timing out. And then I'll be able to go out there with my timing light and check the timing really quick. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and get my timing light set up so that it's easily to get, so that I'm not sitting here running this thing forever before I get my timing adjusted. And then when we're out there as well, I'm going to check my fuel pressure. All right, this thing should be somewhere in the neighborhood about 45 psi. All right, so we just want to make sure that that's where we're at as well. So let me grab my timing light real quick, and then we'll get going. All right, so got everything kind of staged out there so we can get this thing going. Now we'll try to start it up. You can see it fired up pretty good. Going here, tuning, smart, advanced. back inside the Can Wizard now. And we're gonna go ahead and go back to our advanced. We're gonna unlock it. We'll hit save. Make sure it unlocked, yep. Get a little more water in it while it sits here and idles. Everything looks pretty good. I need to go through it and do a little bit of reading and verify that IAC position there. I think from what I remember that looks pretty close, but it's been a little while and I need to read through the directions a little bit.
right there with me for the initial startup. I did have a couple of hiccups. They were my fault though. That was mostly running my fuel pressure or my fuel lines the wrong direction. And but once we got it fired up, the timing's dialed in, it's doing its thing, it's gonna learn. I'm gonna let it sit here and idle for about 30 minutes. Just watch the water and make sure that, because I had to drain some out, make sure that everything's looking good, top that back off. Let it kind of sit here and just learn for a little while. I'm not gonna drive it tonight, it's already dark here. But tomorrow I'll take it out. I'll take you all on a ride with me. I'll probably just do a couple of shorts, but that's gonna do it for this episode.